everybody? It's Charlie again. I'm currently playing Shenmue 2 Remastered. And this will be another replay review in 2025 of one of the greatest games ever made, guys. Like, seriously. But yeah, other than that, let's get into it. Hope you guys enjoy. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another review. This is by far one of the greatest games of all time, like I said in the intro. The reason is this game right here. Well, first of all, as Rio arrives in Hong Kong, it's Hong Kong this time, which continues the first game, and it's a much bigger game. It's a huge experience, and this game is special to me. The whole trilogy is, because I went through it during the time that the third game was released, and I just got the HD. Actually, right before the third game was released, I got the HD, and I decided to play through all three of them during the pandemic. I think it was right after the initial phase of that, and this got me through it. Why? Because starting from the first game, that's why I think you should just play through all three if you get a chance to, guys, because it's really good. But to me, this was the best one. Okay, as you saw, the cinematics are really cool. The graphics are really smoothed out. It's a remaster that some people were disappointed in. I wasn't, because it kept faithful to the Dreamcast version while still, bringing the high resolution to it. And I just really like what they did. Honestly, I didn't think anything bad of it. The controls are greatly improved. Obviously, I'm exploring the corridors in Hong Kong. It's a massive city. It's kind of crazy to think about, because there's let me just say, there's a shitload of interiors, okay? Like, I was totally shocked. I mean, this must have been a huge undertaking at the time, along with a lot of, little things that you will grow accustomed to that are hallmarks of this franchise, which, Lucky 7 is one of them, which I'm playing there. And yes, I happen to get lucky, and I got it. But anyways, Virtual Fighter, Lucky 7 is the one I picked, because Virtual Fighter is a huge inspiration for this series, since it was initially gonna be the story of one of the characters, the main character from Virtual Fighter, Akira, I believe that's his name. And it turned out to be something else. Regardless, the games turned out pretty good overall. I still think this is the best one, and obviously it's not for everybody. These games are very methodical, and you need patience. You're gonna go through a lot of emotions playing this game. By the time you reach the end, you're gonna, believe it or not, feel sad that it's over, because it's more of an experience than it is a game, in my opinion. It just feels like a thorough experience of somebody's life that you're living, just because they're so detailed. Here's his famous notebook where he writes down stuff that you may need to remember throughout your journey. This is something that you can go back to from time to time. Sometimes it's not very helpful, but for the most part, it should give you tidbits and tips and stuff as to what you were doing, where you're supposed to be going. Also, the saves are better in this game, because saves were different back in the Dreamcast era, but it's so much easier to save here. As I walk into one of these slot houses, and I ask for my token. It's hard to explain. I'm not trying to spoil anything, so anything's not gonna be in context. I'm not gonna explain what's going on. I just want to show you some of the stuff that's in the game. Obviously, there's stuff that I did not put in here for obvious reasons. I just wanted to see. I don't want to go into too much detail. Some of it has to be a surprise. It's just the way these games work. Like in the first review that I did for the first game, it was just basically the intro. There's a reason for that. The first game is very short compared to this one. But obviously you need a cola drink to get yourself started, since you're going to be in the Shenmue universe. Those of you that have played these games know what I mean. He literally just enjoys the cola. I don't know how to explain. And it might be a Japanese thing, right? But regardless, the graphics are nice and smooth. The gameplay feels good. It is improved. It's still going to feel a little bit clunky. This is a dated game, guys. It came out in 2001, for God's sakes, I believe it's 2001. And it was originally released for Dreamcast and then later the Xbox, but sadly it was overlooked. And it shouldn't have, because even now, I could say that this game is very much worth playing, in my opinion. Like I said, it's not for everybody, but if you give it a chance, you may find something in it. Like I said, it's mostly an experience of somebody's life. And you want to know what's going to happen next. At least I did. especially since it's a martial arts adventure, right? Which is, if it's martial arts, I'm gonna be interested regardless. Our hero here is also trying to make some money because it's kind of crazy in Hong Kong. I'm not gonna say why. So I decided to challenge some of these fighters. There's some of the stuff that you can do around the world. You know, there's other activities as well that you'll figure out as you go. Like you just saw Lucky 7, like gambling. You know, but you could also fight people that have different abilities and they have different challenges, right? And you put money on the line. In this case, I put $50 on the line. Trust me, money is difficult to come by. Not as difficult as the first game, but still difficult. And to raise some money, you're gonna realize that you need to do certain things to keep up the money. But anyways, this guy's an acrobatic, insane kung fu guy, circus performer type. And yeah, basically that's the goal. You have to grab him. It looks easier than it is. In reality, it can get pretty difficult at first because you're confused a little bit. You try to hit him several times. And there's stuff like this. This is not the only type of that, but I don't want to spoil it, obviously. And I made my $50. And it feels good to make money. It feels good to interact. There's a lot of people in this city. There's a lot of people to talk to. There's a lot of stuff to investigate. Among very cool characters that you meet that have sort of a martial arts aesthetic. I don't know how to say it. It's a martial arts feel to it. Hong Kong is bustling, as you see. There's streets that you have to remember at times. Luckily we do have a map, but it's kind of cool to, when they ask you a question, you kind of remember, oh, that was that place that I was at, type of thing. That's the kind of game that this is. And it blows my mind that this game was made so far back, because at the time, I didn't play it on Dreamcast, guys. I didn't have a Dreamcast at that time. I bought a Dreamcast way later in life. And only a friend of mine had a Dreamcast with the first game. So I never got to play the second game. And when I heard it was out, I was like, damn, I can't even get it because it's not on all platforms. I also didn't have an Xbox. I was always a PlayStation guy, right? No hate against the Xbox because a lot of my friends did have Xboxes or Nintendos. So I was always a multi-platform. I didn't care who had what. If the game was good, I wanted to play, And this was one of those games, especially related to martial arts, where you train and get better, and just stuff like that keeps me engaged. But anyways, here's some of the pictures I took. You're gonna notice that, because I finished the game, there's stuff towards the end of the game and mixed in there and all that, but you won't know what any of these pictures mean. But it's kind of cool that you could do that, through the experiences that you have in the game. And you could just look back like I do at one of my greatest gaming moments in time, because this game was truly an experience and a journey. And I know that sounds bogus to some people that think that these games are boring or something, or walking simulators. They're not, especially not this one. This one definitely isn't. It can be tedious, it can be annoying at times. It can make you go back certain areas, like retrace your steps and stuff like that. But overall, the experience is good, I think. And we're like halfway through the video. I usually give my analysis, and I give this a 9 out of 10 because of a few issues that the game does have. But as you can see, there's some figurines that you collect, like in the first game, and there's much more choices in this one. And you'll notice a lot of them are Virtual Fighter characters like Cage and Jackie Bryant. And if you're familiar with Virtual Fighter, guys, which is really cool, among other characters from other games that you guys will find familiar from the Sega Genesis era, since this is a Sega game, right? Harrier, I think, right? Space Harrier or something like that. Anyways, the point is that the cinematics are lovely to look at. The characters, familiar faces, guys, that or new faces that become familiar later in the trilogy. Sorry, I played through the trilogy, but cool characters that you'll notice that some of them will befriend you, some of them will be frenemies, some of them will be acquaintances, and some of them will just be enemies. I mean, let's be honest, this journey is crazy, Anyways, as you go in, you'll notice that everything is animated really nicely compared to the first game. Everything's been improved, and more money was invested into this game, without a doubt. The buildings are ridiculous. The amount of rooms, the amount of floors, you know what I'm saying? So the city might not be huge compared to nowadays maps, but it is because there's so many interiors and so many places to investigate. Here I'm going to show some of the combat in the game, which is cool because this game does have brought back the throws, brought back a lot of the combos and some of the moves from the first game, and just made them better, really. It just feels better to play this game overall, along with the high-res textures. It's a great experience, guys. There's no other way to put it. They did a really good job. Some of the shortcomings, like I said, is the gameplay still can feel clunky. There's weird things sometimes where if you're in a small corridor, he turns invisible. You can't see his strikes. You can only see what the enemy's doing. But if you get to know the fighting mechanics, that shouldn't be a problem. You still give him a beatdown, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to make a difference. And there's QTEs. This is one of the first games to make them more prominent. Some people hated this, but they're back. And they're easier than in the Dreamcast, really, from the first game. So I think that they were fine. They're not overused. They didn't bother me, really. Here's the list of moves, like I said, that are in the game. Pretty big list, sort of a Virtua Fighter way of doing them, because it's inspired by Virtua Fighter. But yeah, I love this series because it's not for everybody, but it's also something that should be experienced. It's just a story that goes along, right? And yeah, you just meet a lot of people, have a lot of interesting conversations. The game can be funny as hell too. There's comedy in the game, Japanese humor mostly, but still, if you like anime, you probably like the humor in this. Yeah, here's some combat that I got into and stuff. I'm not going to tell you where or why this is happening, but just know that there's a lot more combat in this game than there is in the first game. So it's a lot more action-y. And yeah, you're gonna feel like sometimes you might get your ass kicked, right? Just how it is. But overall, I think it's a great experience, guys. I think everybody should play Shenmue 2 at some point in their life. Obviously, play the first one to go with this one. The HD collection should be cheap right now, I'll be honest, on PlayStation. And this is basically the intro of the game. I left it for last because it's a beautiful intro if you don't press X right away. And I'm not going to tell you who this person is either, but just know that it's a beautiful experience with a lot of martial arts, a lot of cool characters, a lot of adventures, great graphics because it's remastered. The sound is still weird. That's the other reason why I took the point away. They didn't fix the sound, but it's an 80s game. It's supposed to be kind of to that vibe, but yeah, they didn't fix that, so just a heads up. If it bothered you the voices sounded on Dreamcast, it's back. Okay, but it does sound a little bit better. There's not a lot of options for that, unfortunately. There is options to go back to the old graphics and to change up, I guess, a few things like the contrast and stuff like that. But overall, yeah, the options are limited in that context. But it doesn't matter because that's not what the game's about. The story takes you on a path. You go on the path. It progresses the story quite a bit as well. And here's some of the options that I said. The high-res rendering, you could turn it off. Bloom, contrast, gamma, whatever you guys think you should. But yeah, overall, like I said, guys, 9 out of 10. One of the greatest games of all time. I still think that everybody should try it at some point. But yeah, other than that, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe when you get a chance. And like I always say, go game.